Major funding for these broadcasts is made possible by grants from Capital One Bank, New York Community Bank, Eastern Consolidated, M&T Bank, Sterling National Bank, Meridian Capital Group, Customers Bank, Ariel Property Advisors, Dime Community Bank. Additional funding is made possible by grants from AM Trust Title, AVR Realty Company, Avison Young, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Bank Leumi USA, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Chase Commercial Mortgage, Citizens Bank, CPEX Real Estate Services, Colliers International NYC, Cohen Equities, Collins Building Services, Douglaston Development, Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handler Real Estate Organization, Handro Properties, Hodges Ward Elliott, Inc., Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, Kilroy Architectural Windows, Madison Realty Capital, Matone Group, Mercantile Bank, New Banks, Newmark Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rockefeller Group, Rosewood Realty Group, SJP Properties, Stonehenge Partners, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Meringoff Family Foundation, the Moynihan Organization, Moynihan Capital Partners, and these friends.
$30 billion of construction is taking place in New York City. There's hospitals, there are schools, there are office buildings, there are residential towers. There's even retail being built, as well as a wheel. Okay, all of this is taking place in New York. So today, I've assembled this group of construction executives to provide their insight on what's happening in the construction market. My guests include Robert Van Akin, who is the operations manager at Gilbane Building, New York Division. Charles Murphy, Senior Vice President of Turner Construction. Robert Piazza, Director of Design and Development at Rockefeller Group. And last but not least, Ira Brown, who's in charge of the General Counsel, Director of Development at the Briarwood Organization. So you're the king of healthcare construction, it looks like, Charlie. How much construction is taking place?
For us, it's our largest market. We have 3 large projects, one for NYU Langone, another one for New York Presbyterian, and a third one for Sloan Kettering up on 74th Street.
So there's only one system that you didn't do well. You couldn't get work from Mount Sinai and Northwell. Maybe next week.
We're actually working for them. Smaller project. For us, that's always been it's always been part of what we do, and being an institutional builder, institutional, commercial, education, and science. And this is kind of the trifecta of work going on with the healthcare. And I think to me, it's kind of a sign of the times with the move from inpatient to ambulatory care. These are all ambulatory, or 2 of them are ambulatory care facilities.
Now you're building a major healthcare, the Proton Center.
In Harlem, yep. It's about $120 million proton therapy center, which is the first in New York City, and the equipment just was delivered, and we're expecting to get it hooked up and turned on. It takes a while to get it.
And that's a joint venture of about 15 different healthcare institutions, I believe. They're part of the consortium that's working on this type of project.
Yes, sir.
Now we go on the other side over here. We have this individual he's the guy you have to deal with. He's the customer over here. Let's talk about what you're doing these days.
Well, the Rockefeller Group is pretty robust. We're working in a lot of different areas. Currently, we're in schematic design on 29th Street for a 600-foot residential tower. We're also partners in Flushing for 1 million square feet with AECOM in Flushing Commons. We have a division that does industrial parks in the free trade zone. And obviously we own 2 of the bigger office buildings in New York, 1221 and 1271 Avenue of the Americas.
When I brought out the $30 billion at the beginning, there's a significant amount of work being done interiors. And the 2 buildings that we're talking about that are owned by the Rockefeller Group are taking major renovations.
I think we have a project that Charlie's doing on 1271.
1271,
which
right.
is a total repositioning of 1271, which is the old Time Life building. It's probably $200 and something million, I think.
Right, it's a total reclad and then new infrastructure to bring the building up to 2020 standards.
Mm. Now, Ira, you're involved with building a different type of project as opposed to the guys over here. You're more involved with the affordable housing.
Yes.
How difficult is it for you to get people to build when there are other opportunities in different trades out there, since there's so many jobs? How hard is it for you to find people?
Well, we're finding it much more difficult in the last couple of years because of all the activity. It's competitive to find qualified subcontractors to do the work. We act as general contractor on our own projects and as a third-party general contractor. So we're out there dealing with all the trades, dealing with subs.
Now, a term has come into the market. I mean, the last time I did a construction show might have been 6, 7 years ago, and at that time there was this delineation: union job, non-union job, and then the term open shop, where you've had the opportunities of getting both good union and good non-union people to work. We're seeing more of that, right, Rob? You were saying
There's quite a bit. And we've termed the open shop model as being a merit shop. So we award based on merit, whether they be a non-union or a union subcontractor, so that the client is getting the best value for the dollar, and there's a choice. It doesn't always mean that one is less expensive or more expensive than the other.
Mm-hmm.
But what about with regard to that? What is the differentiation between a job which would have totally non-union workers as opposed to a union job, a full union job? Is it 10%? Is it 15%?
Dollar value of the job?
I think you're still in the 20% range.
There is that significant.
Yes.
But you were saying prior to the show, in your previous life, you've experienced the non-union job, which worked very well, the open shop on 23rd Street.
Yeah, it went very well. And and one of the reasons we went that way was when we were just coming out of the recession, and we were trying to make our pro forma work. It wasn't a very big project, but it was sort of a earth-shattering project for the unions because it was all a non-union job, and I bet that we saved 30% back then. We built the job for under $300 a foot.
Wow.
Right, so.
With regard to that, one of the biggest questions, and we brought it up briefly in the green room, is what it's costing to build something. People, when they're seeing, when they're renting an apartment, they say the rents are high. When they're buying a condo, they're saying the price is high. When you're building a new office building, the developer's saying he needs this type of rent because of the costs. What is it costing today to build a property today? Okay, a residential structure, a retail structure, an office building, a highly sophisticated medical facility, okay, an affordable housing type of project. Where is that today?
Throwing out there, a medical facility costs $1,000 to $1,200 a foot, and that's without the equipment.
Okay, but that's including all the TI.
It's all the TI. It's the core and shell, the TI. The room is all built out, and then you add the equipment on top of that.
Okay, so that's basically a $1,200 price. What about the office structure today?
So the core and shell office building can be $600 to $700 a square foot, and then you add in the tenant fit out, and they could add another $150 to $250 depending on the level of the client.
Bob?
Well, depending on the sophistication of the project for a residential job.
Let's take a rental job, a base rental job, and then let's talk about
If we-
a customized, high-class condominium.
We're talking about a base rental job. I think a lot of different things come into play. How the foundation is, if it's a pencil building or if it's on a corner, is it a fancy a fancy concrete structure? So it can run these days, depending on whether it's open shop or fully union, it probably could run the gamut. A rental building somewhere in the mid-5s to the mid-6s, I would think.
And Ira, affordable?
Well, we were going over this in the office recently, and in the last 6 months, we were shocked to hear on the low end for a basic, these guys are probably not dealing with plank and masonry structure up to 12 to 13 stories. We're up to $300 a square foot just on hard course.
Wow.
Now, you can build a plank 13 stories?
Yes, it's stretching it, and what we do sometimes is on the ground floor we'll do poured in place, or we'll do structural steel for 1 or 2 stories, and then we could put the plank above.
People see cranes, and more cranes. How difficult is it to get the crane, and how difficult is it to get the actual materials to build these properties? Okay, where's all this product coming from?
Well, products come from around the world. I mean, really, you're getting air handlers from across the country. Whether you're getting, we just did a project for Lincoln Center. The seats were Italian seats that were made in China that were shipped to New York for Alice Tully Hall. I mean, it's a world mark. Light fixtures too. Light fixtures are from.
Right. With regard to that, I had a friend who was in the lighting business, who did Lincoln Center in a variety of places, and he was saying that some of the architects have been involved also in the lighting fixture business, that they're providing the specs and creating special companies to provide the lighting.
Yes, that's true. I think it's prevalent in the interior business too. I know Gensler has a trademark light fixture that they like to use on their projects. You're exactly right. They work with the designers, get their own special look, and then they
limit the place that you have to use that Gensler or the XYZ product, which is done by the designer. Now, when we're talking about the construction, I haven't included, what is the cost of the architect on projects
It
today?
depends on who it is. I mean, you can have, I don't want to use the word run-of-the-mill, but you can use a not a architect and still, I don't know, $6-7 a foot, maybe more, $9 a foot.
I know one of our projects, a cultural facility, it was 14%. With the design fees.
See, in the affordable world, it's typical about 5% of hard costs.
A high-end designer, then the numbers obviously escalate, and that's also when your costs escalate, right?
Now, with regard to cost escalation, you were talking about the Flushing Commons job in Queens, okay, which Queens, Flushing, it's a difficult place to build because of the concentration of the people and everything else. In a way, it's probably harder than Lower Manhattan.
It's difficult because of the traffic on top of the people, on top of the buses, on top of, it's just and it's not that big a site, and we're putting a lot of stuff in it. And we're not the only people building there, obviously, in Flushing. There's a lot of
I mean, there's a significant amount
of construction going on.
Now, one market we were talking briefly about before is the New Jersey market, where specifically, the Gold Coast of New Jersey right now. Jersey City, there's still an enormous amount of superstructures being built in the residential market. Not that much in the office market anymore, but there's 1 or 2. Matt Cali and SJP is doing something over there. Also, in Edgewater and other markets over there, there's construction. What's the difference in cost in New Jersey as opposed to New York City?
It's probably in the neighborhood of 20 to 25% less expensive to build there. Part of that is the labor. Part of that is the insurance costs, which are New York. We're at New York State, quite frankly, but we're double what New Jersey is.
You're in the business 38 years, you're in the business 36 years, you're in the business similar amount of years, I'd say. How do you get the next generation in management of the construction companies, okay? How do you get people to go into that? And you have kids in the business, so I'll ask the question. And then the next question after that is, how do you get skilled laborers to work? How do you build these buildings to get the number of people? Because if you're building $30 billion worth of work, you need the people who are trained and skilled to do it.
You know, as we all come up, all the skilled people have come through the unions, right? They've come through the apprentice programs. They've been trained. My brother-in-law at one point was a carpenter. He went through the carpenter school, et cetera, et cetera. So they trained them to do the work. At this point in time, I don't know how, I guess that's still basically the same way, but there's a whole nother workforce of open shop, merit shop, non-union labor that's out there that are either ex-union guys working open shop, or they just bring their own friends and people and laborers up through the union, like just bring them work, teach them on the job. But I don't know how long, it's not a great business plan.
There's a lot of factors, you know, in bringing people up through the trades, and I think that the pay scales now are making it a little bit more attractive to be in the trades. So I think we'll be able to fill those needs. We haven't seen a shortage that's affecting us negatively to date. The other side, though, is on the management side, and we're reaching, and I know Charlie and you know, with Turner and Gilbane are reaching into the kids in high school and getting them interested in a program called ACE, that either is going to interest the high school students in getting into a business like we're in terms of a management thing, or maybe even just getting involved and interested in building construction. And so that's a national program that is making a difference. It's going to take a while. It's like the farm leagues.
Right. Get them while they're young.
Get them when they're young.
Yeah. And first, I love the millennials. They come. We hired 100 this year in just in New York. We hire 75 to 100 every year for the last 5 years.
And what's their background of these?
Right out of college. These are the
Were they architectural degrees
mostly civil engineers, some architects, and some like me, political science. So it's a variety.
So wait, you gave a good question. How did a political science major get involved with the construction business?
I'm a third generation builder in New York.
Okay, so you've partially
My
answered.
father was a mechanical contractor in New York, so I was working on jobs since the time I was 16, because no son of his was allowed to stay home.
Right.
Now, how'd your sons decide to go into this business?
Over the years, when I was working for Laird McGovern and then Lend Lease, Bovis, obviously, my sons they interned. They worked in trades. One son was a laborer. He was a laborer at 9/11. And they just gravitated to it. 2 of my 3 sons. My third son, he's smarter than the rest of us, so he's got an MBA from Vanderbilt, so he's doing some other stuff. But
I mean, how do you, Ira? I mean, it's a family business. You were in 1902, right?
Correct.
There's 1904.
That's pretty good.
Right?
No, we're 1912.
19. Many years.
Rockefeller
Okay.
was around the wall too.
Yes, Rockefeller's been around a while too.
Well, the principles, it's all their grandfather started it, the fathers, et cetera.
Right, but you know what? It's a question of the sexiness. You know, we were saying before, investment banking was the sexy business over there. Here, you know, there's stability, okay? Good and bad times, construction takes place. Interior construction, which, you know, people don't always, you know, when they see superstructures, they don't realize that what goes into the site, fine, you build the core and shell, but then if you don't build the interior, that's nearly the major work also.
Right. It's still a good career, whether you're in management or on the building end. Even some of the salaries or the wages that they're paying to the non-union contractors. I was looking at electricians. They get paid a lot of money. I mean, it's good money to be an open shop electrician.
Right. It's a great lifestyle.
And similarly, in this market, we have to pay a lot to keep our people right?
Yes, we do.
from going from one place to the other.
Costs keep pushing
So-
up on all ends
So
of the market.
that's another important question. How do you retain good quality management? Okay, especially and let's follow the path. You're working on a job for the related companies. How do you maintain keeping the project supervisor on the job? What I see is a lot of the project supervisors on jobs say, you know, there's opportunities. I'll go to work for a new developer in town, or somebody who's trying to become a developer, and they have no skills. And then all of a sudden, there's this person who may have worked for XYZ. He worked for Tishman, or he had Turner or ACOM down on his resume, and it looks good because they have private equity companies going after them and saying, who's running your construction team?
Yeah.
So I think, you know, Related is a good company, and they have the best interests at heart of building their buildings for the right price, and they treat our people very well on the job site. But we also we're in our sixth generation of Gilbanes, and we treat our people with respect, and we want to pay a competitive salary, and so you have to do that. That's a basic. But if you make people feel welcome to come into work, challenged in what they do every day, they'll keep coming back and they'll stay with you. We have a long history, and I know that Turner does too, of people working for a long time at the company because of that. Because of us, we have the family atmosphere. Our clients have direct access to somebody with the last name of Gilbane, and we work very hard for client satisfaction to be there, so that if we can pass that on to and that's any company,
And is
to make that an important part.
I'd say you're spot on. Give people a career, a growth plan. But that respect is a big deal. I mean, there's some people we won't work for because they don't respect our people.
Here's a question which we briefly discussed when we were earlier before. Bob is a perfect example right now. He's bidding out a job on 29th Street in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
You said you met with 10 contractors? 10?
We had a road show, as I called it, with 10.
I call it a
contractors.
beauty contest.
Same thing. We had a road show, a beauty contest with 10 different contractors, from the typical's the wrong word, from the old line union contractor down to the new line open shop, merit shop contractors, to see who we thought would be the best fit. And a lot what Charlie and Rob was saying, the best fit with our team to build this building, because if you really think about it, our team and their team are going to be together for 4 years from the time you do pre-con and start building the building. And that's a lifetime, right? And you go through births, deaths, weddings, anniversaries, parties, friendships, weeping and gnashing of teeth during those 4 years to come up with a very successful project, which is one of the reasons people who are working in this business stay in this business, because it's a very satisfactory business. At the end of the day, Charlie and Rob can walk, and Ira can walk through Manhattan, Brooklyn, and say, I was involved with that, I was involved with
In a
this.
similar vein, okay, do you have people specifically out there who are looking for new jobs? I know you are.
I am, yes.
Okay, that's one of your roles. Who's out there? Okay, you find out that, I'll give you a good example. Rockefeller Group buys this site on 29th Street. Okay, do the contractors call you immediately? Do you have business development team who's out there to sell? Okay, I mean, I hate to use the term and they're not here. Do you have the salespeople of the structure tone world that entertain and go around and introduce to get business? How is business done in your business world? Okay, you know, the certain
Relations.
Yeah.
No, it's relationships.
It's really
okay.
relationships, but not cold calling. So we were involved with this project, and we got calls from people that we knew, right?
But you
Different
probably
levels.
got also calls from the new kid on the block. Okay, you know, some of these.
It wasn't as.
I remember, because part of the situation is a developer could want the job done. They may want to hire a construction company like all of you. There's another element two other elements that we failed to bring up. If the developer is getting money from a private equity fund or a pension fund, they may have a certain requirement on who they have to deal with, point one. And the second area of comment is that the bank says, who's building this for you? We want to know the track record and the experience. You know, it's called the completion guarantee on construction jobs. Okay?
And bonds.
And bonds, okay?
But architects are a great resource, like for us. We are recommended by architects to other developers as a third-party general contractor.
And I do believe, you know, when the surety bond to get the project done, the bank approval to get it done.
Sure. And look, the financial people, I'm sure they take comfort when they see a Gilbane or a Turner name involved in projects. You know, on the selling, we have a small sales force. A lot of it is the relationships. They're project executives and project managers we probably do 60 to 75% repeat business with our clients. So that's kind of our network. It's also as this is a small industry, has people on your side, on the owner side, move around from company to company. That brings us over to new business also.
So how do we see the next couple of years, especially since what Bob said before, you know, when you get a job, it's not a one-year project. It could be 4 to 6 years.
Yes.
Okay. How do you see the future? What's the outlook in the next 2018, 2020? I don't have my crystal apple. It's over there.
You know what's interesting is one of the things that we kid about in the office is that the residential high-rise market's slowing down. It's been doing it for the past 15 years, right? But it's still there. The market's there, and I think it's going to stay there. We've got the backlog to support you know, that work through 2020. The work is going to go over, I think, somewhat. You're going to see a lot more of the affordable housing become part of the market that we're all going to have to find some way to embrace. The healthcare market, as Charlie said, it never stops. And if some of the high-rise new office buildings slow down, or as Hudson Yards finishes out, there's always going to be interiors work to go build that.
There's another 10 years of interiors work.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I think the outlook on the apple, not here on my hand, looks pretty good for the next couple of years. And I think the biggest challenge is finding the right people to build the projects and the management to grow. I'd like to thank Rob Van Akin, Charlie Murphy, Robert Piazza, and Ira Brown, and I'll see you next week.